Hello, everybody, and a really warm welcome to another courageous conversation where we here at Tree Sisters are celebrating the voices and courage and wisdom of women. My name is Pollyanna Darling, and I look after community engagement and strategy for Tree Sisters, and I'm really thrilled today to be speaking with Tree Sister and writer and woman who hangs out with Redwoods, Davidson. So hopefully Ellen is going to be joining us really soon. And as you probably know, if you've watched any of these conversations before, it's a pretty brave thing to come on live in front of our whole Facebook page, which we have a pretty big audience now of over 250,000. And it also can sometimes be a little bit tricksy with the tech. So while we're waiting for Ellen to join us, I would like to just read to you her intro. So Ellen says, "Wandering the ancient redwood forest and meditating with the old trees is a love affair. I've been doing this several days a week over the past 9 years. Now I've written a book inviting those of you who wish to join me on this wild path to the Sacred Heart to come along into the enchanted realm." So I'm really looking forward to talking to Ellen because the redwoods are quite astonishing trees, and I would love to hear the wisdom that she's gleaned over her 9 years. Hi Leslie, hi Trisha, hi Jeanette. So hopefully you can see us, Ellen. This is one of those times where everybody who's here needs to be really patient, and we can take an opportunity to just breathe. There's a very beautiful tree behind me. It's a poinciana and it's really old. Hi Jyoti, I hope I've said your name correctly. Hi Linnea, hi Monica. Hi again, Jeanette. So I don't see Ellen yet. Jyoti's in Nepal. Hi. Hopefully Ellen is going to join us really soon. Leslie's asking for a song interlude because I have previously, whilst waiting for guests, sung. I think the songs are for when we get really desperate. In the meantime, I might just mention to you, speaking of singing, if you haven't already heard about it, we have a really beautiful activity for International Women's Day, which is called Sing for the Trees. And it's an opportunity for anyone who loves to bring women together to gather the women where you are in your location and sing for the trees on International Women's Day. And it's a way that we can nourish each other. It's a way that we can build resilience in our communities in the face of climate change, and also a beautiful way to nourish the land, and as well as that, a really, I think, glorious way to raise awareness around how important our trees are and women's role in the reforestation of our planet. So if you'd like to participate in that, that would be really wonderful. We're looking for coordinators at the moment all around the world. We're hoping to get 100 women in 50 different countries to all sing for the trees on International Women's Day. And if you imagine just for a minute what that might look like, just the field of all the women singing together around the world in that 24-hour space, that would be really beautiful. So yeah, that's something we'd really love to invite you into. You can come and find out all about that in The Nest, which is our new online community space, which you can find if you just Google Tree Sisters Nest. You can join and then come into our Sing for the Trees group, and we've got everything you need to support you. We've got songs by the wonderful Liz Terry. We've got events Zoom calls with Liz every week to support you in how you run the sessions and any music queries you have. And we've got a coordinator's kit with everything that you need in it. So we really have got amazing resources to support you in doing that. So I have no idea where Ellen is. I am just going to look and see who's watching. So you have to excuse my finger on the camera because I need to see if she's here. Are you here, Ellen? Oh. So apologies for finger on the camera. Hopefully Ellen can see and can make the request to join. Hello, Anharad. So Jeanette lobbying me for singing. We're really excited because we actually have for Sing for the Trees, we've got women in Kenya, Nepal, USA, Canada, Australia, Netherlands, Germany, 2 in Ireland, all doing Sing for the Trees activities on International Women's Day, and more women registering all the time. So GOT, if you look up to join the nest, it is Tree Sisters Nest. If you Google that, Tree Sisters Nest, you will be able to see it and come and join in our online community. And we do have a Facebook group, which should be at the top of this page. You'll see it says Tree Sisters Inner Journey group. So Ellen, if you're there, do make a request to join, otherwise we can't bring you on. In the meantime, if anyone's got questions, they will pop up on my screen and I can answer them, especially if you have questions about Sing for the Trees, which I was just talking about. One of the really beautiful things that I think about Sing for the Trees is that it's actually an opportunity for us to sister one another through song. So it's a way that we can make really deep connection to each other, whether we can sing or not. So, and I found this really interesting because I got raised in a... Ellen can't find it. Thank you, Linnea. If you can ask her to look in the videos tab on the Tree Sisters main page, that would be really great. Yeah, so when we first started talking about Sing for the Trees, the way that I was brought up, I went to we need to rehearse and we need to sing the songs and we need to do it this way. But then after talking to Liz and also to Susan Hale, who has been doing Sing for the Trees on Earth Day for the last 10 years, it became really obvious that it's not so much about whether you can sing and whether we get it right and all of that. It's much more about all of us dropping into a space where we can support each other and find our voices and make connection to the trees and the landscape that we all love so much. So that's really beautiful. I hope, Ellen, you are finding it. So she is on a phone, Leslie. I don't know why she can't see the video. So this is always we're looking at new technology to be able to do these live interviews, and hopefully the next time we do one, we will have it in place, because it means that we don't have to have this period of time where you're all sitting there going, "Oh, come on," and I'm sitting here praying that Ellen finds the video. Okay, I'm going to see if I can fix it. Jyoti, I've got this is supposed to be an interview with Ellen Davidson to talk about courage and my guest Ellen is not here. So I'm just going to send her the link on my laptop. so that she can see it. Okay, so thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm amazed you're all still here. Hopefully I have given her the link. So, has anyone got any questions while we're... Oh, somebody did. Yeah, Leslie, the plan for Sing for the Trees is that we ask women to gather videos and photos, and we're going to, hopefully we're going to make a video of all the women everywhere, all around the world. Ooh, Ellen's watching. So our plan is to create a beautiful video that's comprised of all the women singing all around the world, so that we can all watch each other, which would be really, really lovely. So Ellen, I know you're there, and I hope you can make the request to come on camera. And Jeanette, thank you. Oh, Ellen wants to be in the video. We could be close. Right, Ellen, it says it's adding. So we may only have seconds before we have Ellen. I hope that's true. Yay!
Wow. That has to be harder than the conversation.
Oh, you made it.
I made it. Wow.
Yeah, that's great. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I would like to ask you first why you're a tree sister.
Oh, that was magical. I had run off to the woods for years on end, and not every day, but a lot of days. And I kept having these visions of women all over the world gathering, and that went together with regreening the planet. And then, I don't know, I guess about a year and a half ago, I just saw this on Facebook and I went, oh my gosh, that's it. So, and I was by myself a lot, and I had all these incredibly magical experiences. It was really wonderful, but I thought it was just me. So connecting with Tree Sisters and finding out that there's women all over the world having magical experiences with trees, wanting to reforest the planet, knowing how crucial that is, communicating with nature intelligence was unbelievable for me. It was an epiphany. I'm really stoked. So that's how I found Tree Sisters. I just stumbled onto it with Facebook.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's always beautiful when you have a vision of something and then you discover that it actually exists and that you can just join it instead of having to make it yourself. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. I thought these divine guides were asking me to do it, and it felt completely impossible. And I have to say, I bow a million times to Claire that she could actually do it, because I thought they wanted me to, and it would just make me, I couldn't even imagine what the first step would be. But to find that this exists and I can just put what I actually can do into it is really lovely.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And so what is it that being a tree sister has given you?
You know, it's about connectivity for me, because I tend to be, like a lot of tree sisters. I found out that a lot of us tend to be intuitive, empathic, mystical, really sensitive people, and not everyone, because there's room for all kinds of people. But so I've tended to be off with just one or two, or by myself with nature more than in groups. And I love being connected with women all over the world, and I feel like I found all these kindred spirits. So that's what I think it's given me. Just
Yeah,
a sense of
that's
not being alone with all my concern and care too, you know? I felt pretty
yeah,
alone with it. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful to know that you're not alone in that and that there are others and that there are people taking action as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really curious about your redwood story and what it was that actually sent you into the woods in the first place.
Well, what happened was empty nest hit, and I suddenly had some freedom and free time that I'd never had before. And at the same time, I was meditating with a Lama empowered with the highest Tibetan meditation techniques. And said, he suggested that we follow the juice. And what he meant by that was to do what really filled us with peace and love and light and joy. And so I kind of could have used making money and going back to work, but I didn't really want to. So I was sitting with that great permission to follow the juice, and I started listening to my body. What did I really want to do? And it turned out, more often than not, what I wanted to do was drive half an hour away to where the trees are ancient and they've never been harmed. It's completely pristine, millions of years old forests. And I at first I went, my husband went, my friend, I have a couple friends that go with me, but they wouldn't go enough. So I started going by myself and hiking miles. And usually, especially 9 years ago when I started this, no one was out there. It's more popular. The redwoods are getting more popular than they were because people are finding out how critical trees are for our survival, and also forest bathing. All the knowledge about it wasn't public, and people didn't know yet about the therapeutic value of forests. So I was out there experiencing all this and finding it, but I didn't know it was real. I didn't have any idea that these were repeatable experiences that other people could have. I just knew it was healing me and it was utterly divine. And so
And
I just wanted to go all the time, so I did. Oh, and also I had a
and what
tree that asked me to come back. That started it. I
right.
forgot
And
that
so
part.
what were you actually doing when you went there? Like if we can sort of imagine what you were actually doing, what were you doing? Were you just wandering around or
No, what happened was the very first time I got the idea, I was just on a hike with my friend, and we sat down beneath this beautiful ancient redwood tree by a creek. And she suggested, she meditated a lot with me. And so she said, why don't we see what it's like to meditate here with a redwood tree? And I said, okay. So we sat down and meditated. And it felt like the tree spoke in my mind. It wasn't exactly in words, but it was complete knowing, and it wasn't me. And it told me to come back. The tree said that. And I came out of that and I was like, wow, I'm supposed to come back and visit this tree. And I wasn't sure. I'm very imaginative, so I never know where the borders are, and I'm always playing with that. And I came back and back and back, and I thought I'd come back a few times. So coming back involves I drive along past, there's not much traffic here, it's very rural. So I drive past ocean and then lagoons and forested hills. And I have a few trees now that I go to, but this one I would park and I hiked about 4 miles into wilderness. Lots of wild animals around. Most of the time I was the only one out there. That isn't true in the summer, but I go all the time. And I'd go through, I'd walk on this beautiful path because the redwoods were preserved. And there's only 2 to 5% left of these in the world. They used to stretch unbroken from California to Canada. But these redwoods were preserved. And so, along with them, the big leaf maples, the alders, which are so delicate and white barked, and they're so fairy and they sway in the breeze, and the firs. So all these other trees were ancient. So it wasn't just the redwoods. So I'd be walking in this environment that was therapy in every way. there's the sounds of the creek and the birds and just a symphony of sound and the smells, that redolent smell that's almost like cedar when you when the
Mm.
trees the oh, it's so beautiful. So everything would conspire to work together to calm me down and bring me into presence and peace and utter joy at being alive. And and so then I'd walk for my 4 miles ish, around 4 miles, and get to this tree that had said to come back. She has a clearing beneath her boughs. She joins together with another tree at the top. They kind of look like friends, and I would do yoga in the clearing. I just do stretching and get so that's really fun too. And then I would sit, and it turned out that with the tree at my back, I'd usually sit for about 2 hours. My phone doesn't work out there, which can be scary actually, but but it does keep time. And so I'd sit there and I couldn't believe it, but I'd get up and I could barely move because I'd been sitting too long on my creaky old, 63. Well, at the time I started, I was only in my 50s, but still my knees would creak. And so, I'd get, but it, it was just so profound. I definitely found the juice. The juice hasn't quit. It's a way it's connecting to primal source, and I think nature is that for all of us, whatever kind of nature is close and that we can really. And there is something I wanted to say that's kind of messagey today. When I was trying to think of did I have anything to say, I couldn't think of anything, but then I realized I wanted to tell everybody, as much as our hearts are breaking because we're watching so much be destroyed and so much vanish, and it's just we're we're so traumatized by all this, but still, all this is still here, and we can go, and the possibilities of deepening our relationship are completely beyond my imagination. I feel like in 9 years, I've just touched the bare surface of what could be possible for me. And who knows, for other people, might be more.
And yeah, so there's so many things that I want to I want to pick up on in what you've said. One of them is that we're having a courageous conversation. I want to acknowledge the courage it takes to go into the forest by yourself repeatedly for 9 years in this, in the world that we live in, and the fact that women are so often told not to go and do things on their own. Yeah, so I want to really acknowledge that courage, um, because I know that for me personally, I always have that little niggle when I'm out on my own,
Yeah.
like just keeping my eyes a little bit peeled. And I wish the world wasn't like that. So I have enormous admiration for women who are willing to keep going and doing that. And yeah, I wonder if you would like to speak to that courage at all, and whether the relationship you're in with the forest actually impacts that.
Yeah, I will. Uh, the first thing I would like to say is I'm not brave, and I got scared a lot. But it was just that I loved being there so much, and I couldn't find anyone else to go, and I wanted to go all the time. And then the other thing that happened is I discovered I love being out there alone because I don't get distracted by anybody else, so I'm so with the earth.
Mm.
But it was scary because I did have encounters with mountain lions. There are rutting elk out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I don't want to have that happen to me. I mean, it's exciting and it's thrilling, but I do not want to run into mountain lions. And they're there. That's where they live. And so,
Yeah.
and then there were redding elk too. So that was scary. And the bears don't really scare me because they're just little black bears here and they run away. But the and then but my husband's not really scared of things the way I am, and he would just remind me that the most dangerous part of my day was the drive, and it really is. And we drive all the time. So
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to. I think all of us are courageous. We have the courage to do what we really want to do. So it's kind of finding finding the juice, that passion for you. And all of us have it, but it gets beaten out of us in our educational system in all the, and especially for women, I was such a pleaser. I mean, we're so taught to contort ourselves into what everyone else wants us to be so we will be okay and approved of. And I'm sure for 2000 years we had to do that. If you didn't please a man, you weren't going to survive, for the most part. So
Mm.
that's that's some of the history that most of us are coming out of. Just being by myself in nature, I didn't have anybody watching me. Nobody expected anything out of me. It was so wonderful to come into my core and actually get to know myself because there was no one to please, you know? And so
Yeah,
I could just be, even in meditation
yeah,
groups,
that's
I want to be a
beautiful. And
good
that,
meditator, you know?
yeah.
So,
So that kind of leads me into my thought around what it is that spending 9 years communing with the trees
uh,
has given you. What's it given you?
your voice faded. Are you
Oh,
still there? Now,
yes, I am. I'm sorry about that. So, did you hear my question?
no, I didn't hear that one.
Oh, have we lost you?
Huh.
Are
No?
you there? Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So my question was, what is it that spending 9 years communing with the redwoods has given you personally?
It was only 2 or 3 days a week. I went every chance I could, but I couldn't go every day. Um, well, it calmed me down. It got me off tranquilizers that I was using to sleep because I've had fibromyalgia and I had terrible sleep disorder after my daughter was born, and the redwoods are just a natural tranquilizer. It gave me a sense of myself because I'm so sensitive and porous that I pick up other people's energy a lot. I mean, I know I do. Sometimes people will say something and I've already had the thought go through my head and then they say the exact sentence afterwards. It's that bad. So I just got to find out who I was without all the without everybody coming in on me. And you know what? One of the peculiar things that happened was I thought I was a lot more neurotic than I am. And it turns out I'm just really sensitive because left to my own devices, I'm overjoyed. I'm happy. And I didn't even know it because I was like picking up, if somebody around me was angry, then I would feel angry. Or if somebody was that empathy thing, I had it bad. And now at least I know to look if it's me. And more than that, it gave me communion. Um, with the vast, I mean, oh, one of the best things it gave me was a sense of how guided we're being through these times, how middle we're being, the intelligence of the earth and divine beings. They came and talked to me. They told me things, and and those things have so many synchronicities that are happening in my real life. One of which was Tree Sisters, but there's other ones that I believe in it. We're being guided. This isn't just um, this terribly challenging time we're in is prophesied, it's known about, and we have a lot of help. Even to the point, okay, I guess an example I can give that's pretty concrete. I could give about 100, but here's one. Um, I had a dream 24 years ago after one of my first daughters, my second daughter was born. She was a couple years old. And I dreamt the trees were leaving the planet. I had this vision of them leaving, and I was really upset. And they told me not to worry. Templates would be taken, and when humanity woke up, the forests would be restored. And then years later, probably about 9 years later, I was already going to the forest. I connected up with David Millark of Archangel Trees, and he's taking cuttings from the sun needles at the tops of the trees, which he then clones to grow these ancient champion trees and save their genetics in living tree libraries all over the world. And I knew it as soon as I heard about that, and then later met him, and we got connected. I knew that that was it, but he was also guided from his own near-death experience where divine beings gave him that mission. And just like Claire was guided when she ran into the tree and they told her to do this, I mean, we're not alone. And I think any of us that open this great healing and restoration will fit in like a little puzzle piece, a perfect puzzle piece. And that is so beautiful and exquisitely satisfying. And at the same time, my relief is profound that all of you other puzzle pieces exist, because at first I thought it was just me and I was supposed to do it all by myself. I just couldn't see how.
Yeah.
The save the world complex. But okay. I got excited about that one.
Yeah. It's so valid though, because I think it's really easy in the way that we live, in the disconnected way that we live, to believe that you do have to do it all yourself, and not to understand that you are a piece that is incredibly
Yeah.
important, but a piece of the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
A little bit waffly again.
Oh,
That's better.
the weather is getting a bit wild here, so my internet is sort of dropping in and out. So, yeah. Is anybody else having trouble hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure what I can do about that right now. So I'm just thinking about the time. If there was, I know you've given your message about, you gave a message before. Oh, you can hear us fine, Patricia. Okay. So I'm just wondering if you had a message for women out there, because it's going to take all of us, as we've already said. It'll take everybody to be their piece and to do their thing. So if you had a message to invite women to join us, what would that be?
Do it. That's the simple version. Do it. This thing I guess I'd like to say is another thing that's happened to women over the 2 is trivialized. So I think we think that what we have to offer isn't as important as it is. If what is small, it doesn't mean that it's important. It's only tiny, and helping a small number of trees will really significant. And if it's only planting a tree in your yard, singing to the trees as you're setting up Pollyanna, it all counts. And so I guess I think one of the ways that we get disempowered when things seem so huge and overwhelming and we feel too small and helpless to do anything, and we freeze or we try and escape. But we don't have to do that. It's even a little bit matters. And so I guess I just want to say, yeah, and joining Tree Sisters, it's all set up. It's so easy. You can do a little bit, and I feel, again, I want to say, family, everyone, because it's a place to just sort of root in this big growing root system all over the world. It's magical. And I think the trees know we're doing it too. So there's that. Oh my God, I'm acting like me.
Yeah, that.
I thought I'd be this calm, poised person, but that's just
So I
never
had.
what happens.
We want to talk to you. We don't want to talk to, you know, we don't want to talk to the mask. Um, it, it, that was going to be my last question, but I really want to ask you as well. That was the message from you, but I'm wondering if there has been any specific or overwhelming message from the trees.
Yeah, there I did have a message from the trees. I have a lot of them, but I think the main one is a lot a lot of the trees are well, they've sense of it is that a lot of them kind of have a choice during these times of whether they stay here. There is some wiggle room, and our love and prayers and care makes a difference in the decision, and it's going to matter so much for the restoration is going to take a long time. This is generations of work we have ahead of us, I think, short of total miracles, because
Oh,
more
I
trees.
can't hear you, Ellen.
Hear me? Am I gone?
You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah. Hmm. How about now? Is that better?
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that it matters. The more that say, the better for our children. As I think we will make it, and we're going to have this restoration, but it's going to go on for generations. And so loving trees around you, paying attention to them, getting to know them, you know, that intimate relationship that humans evolved with trees having needs is also. And I do think the trees are reaching out. I don't think I'm the only one. I've noticed other tree customers are making the trees, they want our relationship. Did that come through?
Yeah, it's really difficult to hear you. It's really difficult to hear you right now. So I think it would be really great if after we wind up the conversation, if you would put the message from the trees in the comments, that would be brilliant. Because I think
Okay.
what I'm
Do
hearing
that.
is that this is a multi-generational effort, and that yeah, that would be really great.
Okay.
So
I can do
I
that.
think we will wind up right now. Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us, Ellen. And it was really lovely to
Yeah, thanks
hear about the
for having
redwoods and
me,
about your
Paula.
journey. And yeah, and
Thanks.
thank you everyone who's watching. We'll have another courageous conversation next week with Samuel, who will have another wonderful, courageous guest. So, yeah, thank you for joining us. And if you would like to step in and join us and start restoring the planet, then there is a link in this post that you can go to donate for the trees. It's treesisters.org/donate, and we'd love you to join us. And we'll see you really soon. Thank you, Ellen. Bye.
Bye.